Good day, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to the Avexia webinar series. Our topic for today is the science behind food and chemical sensitivity testing and clinical outcomes. My name is Christopher Chu. I am the Director of Marketing for Avexia Diagnostics and will be your host for this webinar. Today, I have the distinct pleasure of being joined by an exciting guest, Dr. Russell Jaffe, who will be our presenter for this webinar. Dr. Jaffe has more than 40 years of experience contributing to molecular biology and clinical diagnostics. He pioneered lymphocyte tests of immune function and hypersensitivity and is focused on providing functional, predictive tests and procedures designed to improve the precision of both diagnosis and of treatment outcomes. He received his BS, MD, and PhD from the Boston University School of Medicine, completed residency training in clinical chemistry at the National Institutes of Health, and remained on the permanent senior staff before pursuing other interests, including starting the Health Studies Collegium think tank and Magic Biotherapeutics. He is founder and chairman of PERC LLC, a company that offers the world scientifically proven integrative health solutions and that speed the transition from sick care to healthful caring. Dr. Jaffe is board certified in clinical pathology and in chemical pathology and the recipient of the Merck Sharp and Dome Excellence in Research Award, the J.D. Lane Award, and the USPHS Meritorious Service Award. Joining Dr. Jaffe today will be Dr. Wayne Sedano, our Director of Clinical Support and Education at Avexia Diagnostics. Additionally, Dr. Sedano is the Director of Integrative Medicine Education for the College of Integrative Medicine and lectures and teaches internationally. Before we begin, just a bit of housekeeping. We encourage participation, so if you have a question, you may submit your question in the questions field in the right-hand area of the interface. We will answer submitted questions towards the end of the presentation. If your questions are not answered today, you will surely receive an answer by email within a day or two. Without further delay, I will now turn the webinar over to Dr. Jaffe.
Greetings. I come in peace. I come with news you need and solutions you can use. Who am I? I am Russ Jaffe. You can reach me fairly easily. I maintain a fellow's status in 6 different societies around the world, from which you can conclude either I'm easily bored or I have a Jewish mother or both. I'm a senior fellow with the Health Studies Collegium Foundation and founder and chairman of PERC Integrative Health, Lysac Biotechnologies, and R&J Holdings. But what we are here today to discuss, and I will briefly review clinical immunology, but spend most of my time making it practical and applicable. So, delayed immune reactions revealed. You may be familiar with immediate immune reactions. We are not talking about that today. We're talking about the delayed or hidden or occult. Occult means we have trouble finding the cause because of delays between exposure and expression. So first we'll look at the foundations of functional immunology, food and chemical sensitivities, what they are and what they are not. How do they form? We will review common testing methods and then, most importantly, get into the clinical evidence that detecting T cell and B cell lymphocytic reactions are needed. The only way to get the T cell information is using a cell culture. The LRA is now the gold standard for such cell cultures. We have done near 100,000 tests over the years. We have done near 30 million cell cultures, and I will reveal in a few minutes how precise, how accurate, how reproducible we are. So, to set a perspective, the immune defense and repair system, it's one system responsible for defense and repair and also deleting abnormal cells, but it's one system, the immune defense and repair system. If you have a balance between defense and repair. If you can do both defense and repair, then you are tolerant, resilient, and in balance. This image is meant to show that there are lots of aspects of repair and several different aspects of defense, but when they're in balance, when you can do both defense and repair, then you are tolerant, resilient, and balanced. Now let's see. A healthy immune system. A healthy immune system has no allergies, neither acute nor delayed. You are tolerant. You neutralize infections and allergens before they adversely afflict you. You defend, then repair daily wear and tear. And the punchline, the most important thing to remember, and perhaps to communicate with clients, is that you have 50 billion dendritic cells. These are wiggly white blood cells, 50 billion of them, able to recycle 50 pathogens each. If you do the math, that means 2.5 trillion abnormal or pathogenic organisms can be identified and eliminated without affliction. This is a primary line of defense. When your dendritic cells are working well, you are likely to be tolerant and to have no allergies. When your dendritic cells are pooped, when your dendritic cells lack ascorbate and magnesium and choline citrate and enough omega-3 fatty acids and enough vitamin D, we'll get into that. When the dendritic cells can't function, you're in trouble. So, how common are autoimmune conditions? Will they afflict or affect at least 23.5 million Americans? 80% of the diagnoses are women, although I doubt that that is true. If a man has a pain, it's more likely to be diagnosed as bursitis, which is an inflammatory condition. If a woman has a pain, it's more likely to be diagnosed as fibromyalgia and autoimmune. So I'm not sure that it isn't diagnostic bias about why we have more women than men with autoimmune diagnoses. There are at least 80 different conditions, at least 80 different syndromes, at least 80 different diseases which are considered to be autoimmune. Autoimmunity is different from autoimmune disease. Well, kind of. We'll talk a little bit about that. Tolerance is lost and self-attack occurs. Tolerance is lost and self-attack occurs. Autoimmune disease exists, if you look at the right side of the slide, at the intersection of dietary components, toxic chemicals, genetics, and infections, but mostly it's lifestyle, dietary, and toxic exposures, which you can control. So, to give a very quick introduction to this field of immunology, the immune system that defends and repairs you, I'm going to start on the right side, the first line, innate immune defense, nonspecific surveillance. This engulfs, recycles, renews. These are the dendritic cells. These are the bacterial killing cells. These are the anti-parasitic cells. These are the cells that mature in your skin and keep your skin intact because the skin is the largest organ in your body. Tissue response is, if it needs to be strong, it is strong and swells and causes inflammation, which is repair deficit, a need for repair essential molecules. So first line is innate, it's nonspecific, it's surveillance. On the left, you see the other side, the adaptive immune system, specific acquired responses to specific foods, chemicals, preservatives, or the like, that protects and remembers re-exposure. B-class lymphocytes, yes. Defense white blood cells, yes. Antibodies, yes. But most importantly, helper and suppressor cells, Th1 and 2. Notice the T as in Th1 and Th2. So T cells and B cells are involved, and you need a cell culture to get at the T cell response, and you actually need a cell culture to accurately interpret the antibody response. We'll talk about that in a moment. But first, very quickly, on the right side, you see the adaptive immune system presented visually. On the left side, you see the innate response presented visually. Notice the innate, delayed response, and rapid response involve dendritic cells, mast cells, macrophages, natural killer cells, basophils, eosinophils, neutrophils, complement, which amplifies the whole system, and these white blood cells are known as granulocytes. Then you have the adaptive, slow response, but specific and most important for autoimmunity, the T and B cell responses. And there is some overlap. There are some T cells that involve themselves in the innate immune response. There are natural killer cells, which are very important for identifying and eliminating the cancer cells that form more or less every day. So we should have an immune defense and repair system that's able to defend and repair us, but also eliminate abnormal cancerous cells. We have many microbiomes in the immune system. We used to talk about digestion, but now we talk about microbiomes. I think you get paid a little more if you say microbiome and metabolome. You eliminate foreign invaders before they get in the best of cases. Many microbiomes are involved, and each one has a repair function and an anti-cancer function as they are able to express themselves. So many different microbiomes throughout the body, but the question is, do you have lots of healthy bacteria and a lack of unhealthy bacteria, parasites, and foreign invaders? What are these adaptive immune responses? Well, they're either cell-mediated and T-cell based, or B-cell based and antibody-mediated. Notice the helper T cells amplify the B-cell response and help differentiate a healthy response where plasma cells produce antibodies and where T cells do their job of identifying, migrating to lymph nodes, migrating from lymph nodes on antigen stimulation. Antigen stimulation means anything foreign to the body is an antigen, an antigen, anti the gen, the person, antigen. So, very important to remember that natural killer cell and viral activated cells fight with each other. This is a colorized electron micrograph. On the left, you see a cytotoxic T cell about to zap a cancer cell. On the right, in the red, this is colorized. But the point is that if you have a normal, healthy, innate, and delayed immune system, you can eliminate abnormal cells, virally transfected cells. Any abnormal cell is identified and eliminated through a process called apoptosis. Apoptosis is really pronounced apoptosis. In terms of the responses, the initial exposure has a delay that can be hours or days before any response. Then there is an acute response. Then there is a secondary response, which is more protective. The acute response is IgM. The later responses are IgG or IgA or secretory IgA. And hopefully you will have a memory that will protect and defend you if you get exposed again. That's the goal. So we want defense, we want repair, and we want to remove abnormal cells. Now let's get into some of the details. First line defense prevents viral invasion or replication. There are pattern recognition receptors that engage to detect specific viral components, viral RNA and DNA, viral intermediate products, not the coat of the virus. It turns out the coat is like a blank bullet, but the core of the virus, which is mostly RNA in the case of respiratory viruses, might be DNA in the case of hepatitis and other viruses, but it's the core, not the surface, that you need to know response about so that you can induce type 1 interferons. Interferons go about looking for bad stuff and neutralizing them or holding them down until cells can come and recycle them. And other pro-inflammatory cytokines, which means repair deficit. Pro-inflammatory cytokines mean there's a repair deficit and it's a cry for help. because infected cells and other immune cells might have gotten in. So this has emerged over the last 20, 25 years that I've been involved with these issues, and we've gotten a lot more confirmation that we were right in the beginning, that you need a cell culture to identify accurately what's really going on in the immune system. So in regard to the adaptive immune response, it mobilizes when viral replication outpaces innate defenses. In other words, there's a need for an adaptive response. The first and second lines of defense aren't sufficient, so something needs to call in the adaptive response, B cells and T cells. Antibodies are involved. Lymphocytes are the source of antibodies, but lymphocytes are also T cell responses that is separate from antibodies. So the humoral response is antibodies, or cell-mediated response, which is T cells. The main purpose of this system is to distinguish what is foreign and abnormal and should be recycled from what is self and should be preserved and renewed and repaired. If we want to look at the same process again, but visually, you have the adaptive immunity on the right, you have the innate immunity on the left. You see that viral killing more has to do with T cells, so they're very important to measure accurately. But antibodies, B cell sourced, plasma cell sourced antibodies can be helpful. Then they neutralize the foreign invader, or they can be harmful because they're complement fixing and have been rendered abnormal and harmful to the body. We'll talk about these different types of responses when we get to the types of immune delayed responses. So too often we have a situation where there's too much defense and not enough repair. There's a critical need to tune up the immune system of most clients now, absolutely now. Everything will get better if the immune system, the immune defense and repair system engages for your benefit. Now we have a PIH Academy viral protocol. This reduces risk, this boosts immune defense and repair, and helps people stay healthier. It means being hydrated. That's drinking healthy water, maybe with some berries or lime juice in it, or having a broth. Hydration is very important. In fact, we have a self-test to make sure you're keeping hydrated. Then you check your first morning urine pH. You check the urine that comes out after rest. You can go to the bathroom. You just can't go to the gym or the kitchen. After 6 hours of rest, the first morning urine pH tells you how much magnesium and choline citrate you need for that day. Restorative sleep is very important. I tend to go to bed fairly early. I enjoy now sleeping and dreaming, and I get up restored and eager for the day. Also, it's important to be able to digest, assimilate, and eliminate without immune burden what you're taking in, what you're breathing in, what you're eating, what you're exposing yourself to with cosmetics and the like. And then we get concerned about indoor and outdoor air quality. So to put this into a more linear perspective, you need buffered ascorbate, nature's ascorbate, fully buffered, fully reduced L ascorbate. You need magnesium and choline citrate based on the urine pH in the morning. You probably need zinc, either as a lozenge or as a zinc tablet with high bioavailability. You need polyphenolics, but specifically quercetin dihydrate and low molecular weight soluble OPC. These are the preferred flavonoids and flavanols. You need vitamin D3 with the goal range of 50 to 80. We recommend drops under the tongue, sufficient to bring you into that 50 to 80 range. You can measure vitamin D changes as soon as 1 month when you use drops under the tongue. And then, of course, support for the liver, for detoxification, and for whatever part of the body is in need. Often, there are hidden immune burdens. Delayed allergies dispose to ill health, chronic disease, chronic unwellness. Delayed type hypersensitivities is what these used to be called, DTH, delayed type hypersensitivities. This is not digestive intolerance. We will discuss both digestive intolerance and immune reactions to diet because they're different. Immediate allergies. I should talk a little bit about immediate allergies. These are the histaminic reactions. These are IgE mediated. These are measurable with RAS tests or skin tests, and you immediately get a reaction, literally within seconds to minutes. Hives, wheezes, itching, anaphylactic reactions, all are type 1 histaminic. Then there are the more important and hidden delayed allergies. Oh, sorry. To review, when an allergen comes in and the body has an IgE response, then mast cells, M-A-S-T, mast cells degranulate. They release their contents. They release histamine. They release a variety of other neurochemicals. It's a very interesting process, but what you end up with is hives, wheezes, itching, or in more extreme cases, anaphylactic shock. But what I really want to focus on are the delayed allergies. And here we look back to Gell and Coombs, two of the pioneering immunologists who in the 1960s identified 4 types of reactions. Type 1, we already talked about, but then there's type 2 reactions, which can be IgG, IgM, or IgA. This is antibody mediated. Then there's immune complexes, type 3, and type 4 are cell mediated. It turns out that T cell mediated responses may be the most important and the most important to measure accurately and to reveal what's really going on to help the patient get well. So type 2 antigen-specific antibodies form a complex, an antigen-antibody complex, that activates amplifying complement. These are chemicals that amplify the reaction. Complement fixing are provocative IgG, IgM, and IgA. That's harmful. Neutralizing antibodies are helpful. So just knowing the presence of an antibody doesn't tell you if it's helpful or harmful. You must use a cell culture because cells react to harmful antibodies, but not to helpful antibodies. Neutralizing helpful antibodies do not provoke cell culture responses. What about immune complexes? These are the most complex of the immune reactions. This is IgM. This is a recent large molecule called IgM that is provided because you have both IgG and antigen in circulation. If you have IgG, antibody IgG, and antigen Ag in circulation as a complex, that will damage blood vessels. That needs to be responded to. So the body makes an IgM that wraps around the IgG antigen complex. That's type 3 reactions, not type 1. Form immune complexes that damage blood vessels if not removed by the liver. So the liver and the spleen are really responsible for removing these immune complexes, but if they are not able to keep up with the rate at which immune complexes form, then the body produces a type 3 reaction, IgM, anti-IgG antigen. The most important and the most overlooked are the T cell mediated type 4 reactions. And here you see what this means. A macrophage processes the antigen. This macrophage is an antigen presenting cell, an APC, antigen presenting cell macrophage, processes the antigen, delivers it to the T cell, the helper T cell, which then produces lymphokines. These are cytokines that amplify the reaction, either stimulating B cell helpful responses or cytotoxic killer T cell responses as needed. Type 4 reactions, most importantly, a complex dynamic revealed by lymphocyte response assay. So there are 3 types of delayed reactions: type 2, reactive antibodies; type 3, immune complex; type 4 T cell mediated, and all of these are measured by our mixed cell culture system called lymphocyte response assay, LRA. It's done in our lab. We receive specimens from all over the world, and we report the results, including what the results mean. This is a table that we developed many years ago. What you see are, and what I want you to see mostly, are how many conditions are associated with type 2, how many conditions are associated with type 3, how many conditions are associated with type 4, and then the conditions of digestive intolerance. You can see the long list of chronic ill health associated with delayed allergies, but then you have dysbiosis, not having enough good, healthy digestive organisms in the microbiome. Lack of digestive enzymes like lactase to digest lactose. Celiac disease or syndrome. IgA deficiency, the most common acquired human immune deficiency is IgA deficiency due to an impaired immune system that can't make the secretory IgA or the IgA. And you can easily detect the absence of IgA in people with chronic illness. Maldigestion goes along with dysbiosis. Gluten and gliadin intolerance, also aspects of dysbiosis. So we can help you clarify in the type 2, 3, and 4 categories. Many conditions are primarily delayed allergy reactions, but you also have to correct intolerances, and we provide an interpretation that explains what we would suggest the person do and why. This is an important point. Delayed hypersensitivities are hard to find because they express themselves 3 hours to 3 weeks after exposure. The patient will come in and say, I just don't feel well. My get up and go got up and went. I don't know where it went. These are called Arthus reactions, Schwartzman reactions. Jelen Coombs studied these reactions. It sometimes takes a long time to get symptoms, which means even the most careful history will not detect delayed hypersensitivities. So we recommend an ex vivo high precision with successful outcome studies, a lymphocyte response assay, HSLRA, a lymphocyte response assay, which has less than 3% variance on thousands of blind split samples. Unprecedented precision. This is in contrast to the in vitro tests that are widely available: antibody IgG or serology tests, particle size tests, cytokine release tests. These are indirect in vitro test tube methods, whereas ours is an ex vivo high precision cell culture. So we suggest that you not get confused, that you avoid ELISA or EIA IgG or IgG4 or IgA or IgM, because knowing the antibody doesn't tell you if it's good or bad. Good from bad cannot be known with serology. Serology means immune in vitro test tube tests. There's a long list to avoid that comes back from these kinds of tests with many false positives and false negatives. False positives because they do not distinguish helpful from harmful antibodies, and false negatives because they miss the T cell responses. Then you can have a machine that detects particles of a 10 micron size. But there are lots of things that turn out to be in blood samples that are 10 microns in size. Red cell clumps called rouleaux, platelet clumps, granulocyte debris. This is low specificity, not predictive, and frankly, when it's been subjected to tests, not even reproducible itself. There are mediator release techniques, but these are indirect in vitro test tube tests that are not looking directly at lymphocytes. They're using markers to imply reactions. They have a limited number of tests available compared to our rather complete array in the LRA lymphocyte response assay. So we recommend the ELISA ACT, the lymphocyte response assay that we do, where we directly observe the lymphocytes just as they occur in the body. That's why it's an ex vivo test. We measure all three delayed allergy pathways. We have advanced methods with few false positives, less than 1%. Intolerances, if any, can then be detected and digestion strengthened when the burden is lifted off the immune system by following our guidance. This is a slide, a typical response. On the left are non-reactive lymphocytes. On the right are reactive lymphocytes. I trust you can see that they are reactive on the right and non-reactive on the left. The reason I put in this slide is that some people say it's hard to do a cell culture, and it may be for them, but our high amplification system lets us get to within less than 3% variance on blind split samples, so we're very precise and we know how to do these measurements. We can now measure over 500 cell cultures, the largest array of foods, additives, and preservatives, the largest number of environmental chemicals, toxic minerals, and heavy metals, medications, molds, danders, hair, and feathers, and herbs, because any or all of these could be sources for the individual of immune burden, and to the extent that we can, we should be more complete, not less complete, when we do LRA tests. So you have precision, which means reproducibility. You have a comprehensive immune assessment, T cells, immune complexes, B cells, distinguishing helpful from harmful, which provides unmatched clinical value. Now, many of you may be new to this type of immunology testing. We've been at it for 3 decades. Dr. Sedano and I have known each other for 2 decades, and I absolutely commend him and for you to consult with him whenever possible about these kinds of tests and others. Now, just to compare and contrast, on the left you see the 5-step ELISA or ELISA IgG test. 5 different steps, each of which introduce 3 to 4% variance. So the best you can get out of this system is 15 to 20% variance. That has been proven over and over again. The 5 steps give 15 to 20% variance. We have ELISA ACT LRA, a single step, 1 step. We pre-coat the antigen onto the surface of a microtiter plate, which is unique to us. We add the cell-rich plasma. We incubate at about body temperature for a certain period of time, and then we can measure accurately the lymphocyte glycocalyx activation through an activated kinase enzyme. Let me stop and talk about that for a little bit. The antigen-presenting cell presents the antigen at what's called the MHC locus, major histocompatibility locus. That is a kinase. What is a kinase? A kinase is an enzyme that sends signals to phosphorylate proteins on the surface of the cell. The glycocalyx gets phosphorylated and sends signals to the nucleus to start dividing, again, by phosphorylation. If you phosphorylate the surface of a cell, the glycocalyx will start to push away the plasma and the platelets and will expand with what appears to be a halo, a symmetric halo, that we read as the reaction in the test. So what do? We spin the sample, but very gently. We spin it only to get rid of red cells. We don't make a buffet coat and resuspend. We take 45 microliters of cell-rich plasma. We add it to each well. We have 48 wells per plate. We have multiple plates in many arrays. Each well is pre-coated with a purified antigen. We incubate for 3 hours at near body temperature, and then we immediately read and observe the results. For those of you who want data, this is 4,138 consecutive blind split samples, which If you look on the right side, you see 97.6% matches, 2.25% unmatched, less than 3% variance on thousands of split samples, no dropout of data over 3+ years. We have a patented microtiter plate, which was necessary to do the assay. We had to invent this originally. We have a proprietary blood collection tube so that we get an ex vivo sample. We get blood just as it exists in the body. You have to follow the instructions, please, but then that gives us an ex vivo sample to work with so that we can give you accurate information about what the body is saying. We have a specialized collection and shipment system. Again, please read and follow the instructions. LRA cell cultures are possible because of these unique aspects, which are routine for us in our lab, but not available to anyone else. They come back with a personalized recommendation. A health assessment questionnaire is recommended. The patient fills this out, takes about 20 minutes. With the combination of the cell culture and the HAQ, the health assessment questionnaire, we can provide an interpretation about which supplements, which activities and environmental recommendations, and possibly if a rotation diet is desired. We also have a free downloadable book called The Joy in Living the Alkaline Way. The Joy in Living the Alkaline Way is digital, available, and it clarifies and reinforces these points in consumer-friendly language. So LRA is indicated for immune dysfunction and autoimmune conditions, for chronic conditions, and for optimizing performance and recovery. Most people come in when they're unwell. Some people come in because they are well and feeling well, and they want to optimize their performance and their recovery. And specifically, we can help on all aspects of this. Now, here's a study that we did on fibromyalgia, a community-based clinical outcome study published in the Journal of Musculoskeletal Pain by Patty Doyster, my colleague, and I, with 50% less pain, 70% less depression, 50% more energy, 30% less stiffness in just 6 weeks. And we have followed these people up subsequently and found them to continue to spend less, feel better, and not relapse. So fibromyalgia in the outside world is a relapsing remitting condition, but in our world, we resolve the fibromyalgia as a chronic immune dysfunction condition, getting to the causes, not the consequences. We also did outcome studies. Oh no, sorry, this is the fibromyalgia outcome study data. What you see here is normalized data, so everyone was normalized to 100% before. At the 3-month midpoint, all 3 groups look a little better, but at 6 months, and it's important to do studies for about 6 months, the control group has dropped back to near baseline. The primary and secondary fibromyalgia have continued to improve. Primary fibromyalgia is just muscle pain from fibromyalgia. Secondary fibromyalgia means other autoimmune conditions. So the data speaks for itself. What about diabetes? What about type 1 and type 2 diabetes? Well, the essence of our outcome study, again, community-based, was a full 1% reduction in hemoglobin A1C in both type 2 diabetics and type 1 diabetics. A reduction of 1% in hemoglobin A1C starting at best standard of care, according to the ADA, because everyone was on American Diabetes Association best standard of care. We took the control group and we took the experimental group that was following our advice. The other group followed random advice, and there was a 1% reduction in hemoglobin A1C in both type 2 and type 1. This means 20+ years were added in quality life to these people. There was also an 18% reduction in insulin levels in the type 2 diabetics. So what that suggests is that insulin resistance got less, 18% reduction in insulin levels in the type 2 diabetics. When I made the slide, we had a mere 70,000 cases. We now have over 90,000 and closing in on 100,000. We have patient and practitioner case successes to help you understand how to communicate that this can be uniquely helpful to your clients, and by analogy to whatever is their condition, we probably have abundant case successes to illustrate what and how we do. Here's a chronic fatigue success. I was amazed by my fast recovery from a 4-year struggle. I have returned to work and my energy level and health are stronger than before I got sick. I never thought I could be this healthy. This is a common response. People run down and then they lose hope. They lose the possibility that help could be in sight. Well, we're pleased to inform you that help is here and available if you want to engage it. How about migraines? Migraines are food allergy until proven otherwise. There were some elegant studies done by Professor Egger in Germany confirming that 88% of migraines at least are due to foods. We think a higher percentage can be detected with our system of more substances measured. There's a person from Herndon, Virginia, who had migraines for 20 years. It's great to be free of them. Here's a colleague from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He has found the LRA to be the most reliable and effective solution to solving my patient's chronic health conditions. I think that Norm and I have known each other longer than I've known Wayne. We have case studies published. We have case studies available to you so that you can help a person identify with the opportunity and the need. Now, let's talk about Hashimoto's thyroiditis. 30-year-old woman had symptoms for 7 years before the diagnosis of Hashimoto's was made. It's very common to have 5 to 8 years of suffering before the autoimmune condition called thyroiditis is identified. The symptoms were fatigue, muscle weakness, joint pain, weight gain, bloating, and digestive distress. Initially was treated with Synthroid and Euthyrox, which is a European European thyroid supplement, without benefit. The reactions on our test, out of hundreds and hundreds of items tested, there were 20 items: nightshades, trichophytin, benzaldehyde, and methylene chloride. We substituted for them. We showed the people how to substitute for them to reduce the exposure. And then we recommended personalized nutrients and an alkalizing lifestyle program. So initially, energy level dramatically increased, pain reduced, and thyroid medicines were reduced. This is the best I have felt in years. Every time we hear that, we're happy. We want that to be everyone's result. This takes you through a little bit of what inflammation, meaning repair deficit, really is. What this complex slide shows, that when the blood-thyroid barrier is breached, platelets, granulocytes, and white cells flood into the gland to repair the blood-thyroid barrier, but they also produce inside the gland antibodies as part of their repair job. So anti-thyroid antibodies are a measure of how much repair deficit there exists in the patient. And I remember one case that Norm had where the patient had anti-thyroid antibodies of 25,000, and at the end of 6 months they were about 2,500, and at the end of 1 year, when we did a second cycle of 6 months, they had become undetectable. So the goal is to restore the blood-thyroid barrier and have the antibodies go away. If you don't restore the blood-thyroid barrier, you will have antibodies and continued destruction of the gland indefinitely. Here's another Hashimoto's case, a 36-year-old woman with 5 children, 3 alive, low energy, 18 kilograms weight gain, little joy in life, morning temperature often low. If you can get people to measure their temperature before they get out of bed consistently, under the arm or under the tongue, or however you want to measure it, but be consistent, you can prove that in some cases, especially Hashimoto's thyroiditis, the low temperature in the morning correlates with the lack of thyroid hormone. So what you want are not the routine tests, not the total T3 and total T4. What you need is free T3, free T4, TSH, 2-hour glucose and insulin are an option, but 2-hour, not immediate. And we suggest measuring stress hormones in saliva. This means free cortisol and free DHEA at 4 different time points. You send that to a lab. They report what the rhythm of stress hormones is like, what the ratio of cortisol to DHEA is like, and that can be very helpful to guide success and care. So about this individual, it was cow dairy, MSG, arsenic, sulfite, and chloroform that were reactive. We recommended 2 grains of desiccated thyroid. If the AM temperature was less than 98, we recommended green dichromatic lights and salt and soda baths. At 6 months, the patient was asymptomatic, had lost 10 kilograms, had discontinued thyroid hormones, free cortisol and DHEA, glucose and insulin were now all normal where they had been previously abnormal. How about ulcerative colitis? 31-year-old female, diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, did an over-the-counter OTC cleanse that triggered bloody stools. We don't recommend that. Past medical history included a large polyp removed from the small intestine as an infant, and the mother has IBS. Was treated with Lialda without success. We found 18 reactions: corn, black tea, olive, xanthan gum, orange, ginger, pinene, and food dyes. We suggested substituting for these and taking multi-minerals, multivitamins, omega-3, 6, 9 essential fatty acids in one soft gel, bone-building nutrients in capsules, recycled glutamine with PAC to give you the energy of the glutamine without ever building up glutamate, comprehensive probiotic, blood-building complex with ferrous aspartate, B12 hydroxycobalamin, nature's B12. We always use nature's forms. We never use unnature forms. And polyphenolics. Again, the quercetin dihydrate soluble OPC. 1.5 years later, CBC now was normal. Hemoglobin 12.9. C-reactive protein 1.14. We would like it to be a little lower than that, but that's still pretty good. Ferritin of 14. Oh, well, that's interesting. On Asacol, but reducing slowly from 3 a day to 3 a day from 6 a day. Weight back up to 132. Amenorrheic, but breast tissue coming back. Acupuncture once a month. Family getting healthier. Husband lost weight. Kids eating healthier too. Repeat the LRA tests, and everything got further better. How about chronic fatigue? 52-year-old black male comes for chiropractic care. He has neck pain and stiffness with intermittent bilateral fingertip paresthesias, dysesthesias, fatigue, poor sleep, and he's just tender everywhere. Routine labs show a high cholesterol, high triglycerides, high glucose, and low vitamin D. What we suggested was to avoid sugar, remove dairy, cow dairy, eat more frequently, graze through the day, have a hard-boiled egg, have a smoothie, have Ezekiel bread, real bread, not Chorleywood common bread. Have almond butter or nut butters as a snack. Consider whey protein if you're not reactive to whey. Eat more vegetables, nuts, seeds, sprouts, fungi, and sea vegetables. Sleep 7 to 9 hours a night for repair, decrease alcohol, recreational intake, and take nutritional supplements, which in this case involve a comprehensive multivitamin, multimineral, 3 per day, enough to keep the urine sunshine yellow. Vitamin D, 20 drops a day, that's 10,000 IU, to bring him into the 50 to 80 desirable range. Magnesium, 3 per day. Note, vitamin D requires magnesium and K2 to be active. Glucose regulation, which means chlorosolic acid, French lilac, bitter melon, chromium, and vanadium, all in a soft gel, 1 to 2 with each meal. Check chromium deficiency associated with severe insulin resistance, hyperglycemia, hypertriglyceridemia, and painful neuropathy. You would you would test that using a depenicillamine provocation for nutritional and toxic minerals. With regard to omega-3 fats, take 3 a day, each one containing 990 milligrams of EPA and 750 milligrams of DHA, and a super B complex to reduce homocysteine levels and improve metabolism. Wife comes to the appointments, fortunately, 1 week on supplements and dietary changes, and he's already sleeping better, has more energy, eating more frequently and healthier. And he went on to improve. How about rashes and hives? You would think these are type 1, but this is a 58-year-old woman with rashes and hives. This sounds histaminic, but we decided to apply the LRA lymphocyte response, and we found cow dairy, potato, sulfite, food colorings, and organophosphates. 2-week avoidance and reduction in rashes was dramatic. Blisters are gone, significant skin improvements. How is that possible? Well, it may be that in some cases, maybe in most cases, the type 1 IgE histaminic response is a spillover from the delayed reactions. We often find colleagues tell us that when people follow our program for delayed health in the immune defense and repair system, that their immediate or seasonal allergies just disappear or go away. So, what about ADHD and energy depletion? This is a 50-year-old woman diagnosed with ADHD, initially on Adderall. We took her off that. Lack of restorative sleep, decreased energy, weight gain, and mild alopecia. The LRA tests found gluten, titanium dioxide, sulfite, and salicylates. Not too many items, but significant. We substituted for those. We had personal supplements with a multivitamin, multimineral, repair polyphenolics, bone-building nutrients, adrenal support, ascorbate, and others in an alkalinizing lifestyle program. After just 1 month, achieved appetite control. Now there was some sense of portion control. 2 months, sleep rhythms returned to normal. 3 months, no loss of hair, night tremors gone, prescriptions down by half. 4 months, energy level high, sleeping well, and focus improved. That's what we want to see over time, typically 6 months cycles, and it takes more than 1 cycle to restore people to good health most of the time. So a healthy immune system is tolerant, no delayed allergies. Food and chemical sensitivities are an overburden of the immune system, leading to intolerance and chronic illness. LRA tests revealed all 3 types of delayed allergies concurrently. With less than 3% variance and 30+ years of clinical success, we are the gold standard. If you have any questions, I would be delighted to answer them.
Great. Exactly. We've entered the question and answer section. Doctor, that was fascinating. Thank you for that. So let's see. We have one question from Christine Solomon. Do you suggest retesting, and if so, when? Also, are the initial recommendations for life or adjusted?
Right. We recommend you retest every 6 months. We recommend you retest every 6 months until the person is in a high state of health.
Okay.
Why repeat after 6 months? Well, your digestion and your metabolism are probably not perfect the day you start this plan. Even if this is the perfect program, you're not perfect the day you start. So the first 6 months is to clear away the debris. And it takes about 6 months to change some habits, to engage with healthier habits, and to prove to the person that they are making significant progress. So I recommend that you retest every 6 months, and you will find that many people need just 2 or 3 of these cycles, and then they will become so loyal to you that they will bring their friends and loved ones to your practice.
Okay. Let's see. A question from Rafiq Alaoui. How do we download the Alkaline Lifestyle book resources? They will be available in on our Avexia platform under client resources. When you look, you go in there and you look under lab tests, you'll see what you're looking for, and you can download those PDFs there. Let's see, we have some more. Um, let's see, one from Kelly Seeley. Do we need to be licensed in order to order the test? Through Avexia, as long as you're a practitioner of sorts, whether it's a health coach, obviously if you're licensed, obviously if you, but you will be able to order as long as you have an account. So that would be that question.
That, that's a very important question, and the rules have changed favorably in the last few years.
Yes, and as far as the slides, Kelly Seeley, we will provide those to you after the presentation if you so wish. So now that I've seen that you've requested, I'll make sure that you get a copy of the slides. And if anyone else wants them, we'll provide contact information in a second for more if any of these materials are requested. Christine Solomon said, this was terrific. Thank you so much, doctor. So there you go. A little bit
You're
of
welcome.
kudos to you. Okay, we've got some more. And okay, so doctors, would you mind pulling the presentation back up just so I can do those
No,
last few slides?
I'm happy to do that. I think I can do that.
That'd be great. I appreciate that.
Let's do this, and then we go to PowerPoint, right? Yes.
Yeah,
And
and if
now,
you just go to the next one, that'd be awesome.
oh, yes, absolutely. Sorry.
No,
Yeah.
take your time.
Chris, Dr. Sedano, I just want to, first of all, thank Dr. Jaffe, but probably something he doesn't know about. When I did a LRA test, this was on one of my patients a couple years ago, and doctor was testing for sodium lauryl sulfate.
Aha.
Now, yeah, and it sparked a memory because this person had the hives. She had hives, and and you test for this, which I already know, and it was in her toothpaste of all things because it's a cleaning agent.
Yes.
My point is, try to find that any place else. I don't know anybody else that will do that. If there are, please let me know. But that
We are more comprehensive. No, thank you, Wayne. We are more comprehensive. And most importantly, if anyone has any questions about anything I've said or implications of anything I said, by all means, speak with Wayne.
Yeah, within a matter of a couple of weeks, she got off the two. I would not have found it without your work and the LRA test. And it was like I was a believer at that point. And so anyway, I'm going to encourage folks to order it on yourself if you're having problems or a loved one. Check it out. So anyway, I'm done. But again, Dr. Jaffe, thank you so much.
Right.
Oh, you're welcome, and thank you.
Oh, I just go back one slide. I apologize, doctor, just because I want to. So the doctor alluded to the Ask the Doctor feature that we have through Avexia for Avexia clinicians. It's a free service available to all our clients. You'll have access to Dr. Sedano, to review tests or clinical conditions or any questions you may have. You basically log in. On the left side of the interface, you'll see a button for Ask the Doctor. You can just do the free version where you email the doctor. He gets back to you, as doctor will point out, right, doctor? Sometimes within 24 hours, less than that, correct?
It's usually same day.
Yeah, usually same day. And then if you want one-on-one through like video chat, you for an additional fee, you may set up or schedule appointments for that. So that's always there for all the Avexia clients. Dr. Jeffrey, proceed to the next slide if possible. Thank you. Okay, so now that we've learned so much about food sensitivity and LISAC LRA testing, I would like to review how to order the tests. So with this slide, first you'll need to log into your Avexia account, go to the Avexia link ordering banner on the left side of the dashboard. You'll need to select or create a patient to assign the test to, and then you will click the specialty labs and go to the ELISA Act Biotechnologies button. Locate any of the tests or the LRA tests, add it to the cart, and complete your order by clicking the green place order button. It's pretty simple. Right now, I would like to also let everyone know that Dr. Jeffrey's latest book, Thriving in the 21st Century, is now available on our Avexia store to order. This book discusses the unprecedented challenges of the 21st century related to the effects of environmental toxins introduced in the last half century on our overall health. Dr. Jaffe has provided a guide to reconnecting and rediscovering your healing capacities by embracing a nature, nurture, and wholeness approach to life. Very exciting. So today we have a special offer for the first 25 ELISA Act test orders. So through the end of the year, if you are one of the first 25 clinicians to order the ELISA Act test, you'll receive a 25% discount off the price of Dr. Jaffe's book. The book is normally $24.95. With the special offer, you would get the book for just under $19. To take advantage of this offer, log in to your Avexia account, go to Avexia store, order Thriving in the 21st Century, and then order the ELISA Act test of your choice through Avexia Link system, and you'll get the discount value in the form of an account credit at the end of the billing month. So that's exciting. Hopefully take advantage of that. Next, we have our contact information. For any questions or issues you may have, please contact us at Avexia Diagnostics by email at info@avexiadiagnostics.com or by phone 5 days a week at extended hours, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Time at 888-852-2723. If you would go to the next slide, Doctor, please. So thank you, Dr. Jaffe and Dr. Sano, for this informative presentation. A recording of the webinar will be available by email in the next few days. Thank you all again. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, from everyone at Avexia Diagnostics and ELISA Act Biotechnologies, stay healthy, stay safe, and we wish you all the best on your pathway to wellness. That was amazing. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Yes, Dr. Jaffe, thank you. Bye-bye, Chris. Thank you.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Most welcome. This was fun.